That when this TED talk came on, I was online, so I think I watched it and wrote a comment in the first, let's say, half hour that it was posted. So this is what I wrote, and this is I think the highest number of likes I've ever gotten. So of course, strategically, when you get a chance to watch something first and write a real comment, this is like 3 paragraphs, 4 paragraphs maybe, and it makes a difference. Now, I just liked everybody, but I'd already answered them. Now, he is saying to me that is a preposterous assertion. But, we wrote a few times to each other, and I still kind of liked him just answering. And later on, you see a lot of them I've answered. Later on, he says, I appreciate the civility. It's rare in comment sections. It is. I actually didn't expect, a real dialogue. Like there's very few, very, very short sentences or words, so it's nice. So now I want to write in TED more, but I was kind of thinking maybe today it'd disappear, right? But it hasn't disappeared. But I wonder how much TED is watching it because, for example, this was highlighted yesterday. So they might have, but they have so much to do, right? They can't read every comment and reply that comes in. And then it finished with me. This guy just came on today, I think. I'm not sure. And so here at the end, I ask, what is your opinion about populations? Because if he answers, then we can get into the complexity of how to interpret that topic. And of course, I say in other places that my worldview is ecocentric. So for example, is it here? Tell me more to this person. Tell me more of what you mean. And please refer us to other speakers on the topic of population projections and possible solutions based on worldviews, because our worldview totally impacts how we interpret and want to deal with the statistics of our own population. So I'm trying to get this conversation going. I don't think he replied, he or she. And then I said, as my own worldview is pro-life, ecocentric, I see her projections as good news, in part because it will give our failed species, time to un-counter-terraform the biosphere. First time I use un-counter-terraform. I've used counter-terraform before. We're the only species, I think, that if an extraterrestrial visit us, I think they'd be like, we've never seen a species counter-terraform. It's like they're in the womb, and suddenly they're trying to contaminate the womb to kill themselves before they can, be born as something, worthwhile, because we're still barely starting to go through our maturation process as a species with DNA with so much potential, for example. Do you know what I mean by this term? I was hoping that person would answer. If our own numbers and abilities as a species that is now far too disconnected from the natural world that we belong to go down too quickly, and with all of the dangerous technology that we seem to equate to sapience or sentience as the ridiculously chauvinistic failed species that we had already become even before any of us had been born, then the biosphere would have less of a chance to restabilize and perhaps become devolved. I think I have to rephrase this. For land mammals, for example, to the point that it was millions of years ago. So I've said this in previous posts that it is possible that we will even destabilize the atmosphere, that 20% oxygen is no longer the case. And yet we, as bigger creatures like land mammals, we can't evolve that quickly. That's why at some point I was telling another TED Talk lady saying, I think you need to be working on masks instead of helping certain people who will be a little bit more affected with asthma. I think you need to make masks for all of your species. And that doesn't just mean clean out particulates, but somehow help us compensate for how the atmospheric chemical composition changes in ways that it hasn't and I'm talking about billions of years, because the bacteria that help to stabilize the atmosphere at 20% for the evolution of creatures like us to manifest, it was a very long time ago. So our species is capable of doing this. And of course, the dangerous technology is pretty much every kind of technology that we made with our opposable thumbs after refusing to work on the first form of technology, which is human thinking tools, which would allow for sentience and sapiens to evolve to, for example, an ecocentric worldview, not anthropocentric or all the other nonsense that we seem to be devolving more and more towards on the spectrum that I've described in a video on the Master of Science and Ecocentric Worldview. I would think that any true Homo sapiens would agree with that. And again, I have to say, hey, I don't think we're really Homo sapiens if you define sapiens as wisdom, as a species, because you have to look at the collective behaviors of our species. And, pretty sure that Democracy Now! That I watch every day of the week, their, international report, I'm pretty sure it's not fake news. So it's really who we are as a species, for example. Just that data is enough to know we're not Homo sapiens. So I always have to say, you silly, silly Homo communia. We're the common people, primate men and women of this epoch, and it's an epoch where our species has sabotaged the concept of life as it is now, but also its ongoing ability to evolve. So that's the conversations that we must have. So, yep, that's it. Let's see what happens. I might do more of these TED Talks when they pop up, except there's a few different versions of TED Talks I've noticed, and this one might be the original one, and it looks like I'm already subscribed. But I am annoyed because a lot of them are this long, and it pretty much gives one or two new ideas that may or may not be new to me or be interpreted in a way that I haven't had time myself by not addressing these topics to have considered. So it's not always worth it.